In 1997, Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park, California opened Windjammer Surf Racers. Unfortunately, this ride became infamous as one of the biggest disasters in roller coaster history, even resulting in a lawsuit between the park and the manufacturer. But how could such a small looping coaster cause so much controversy? Let's find out today on Failed Coasters. For almost 100 years, Knott's Berry Farm has been a staple of Southern California. Starting out as a small farm, this park rose to fame with the invention of the famous boysenberry. With the addition of Mrs. Knott's Chicken Dinner Restaurant in 1934, the farm quickly became a major tourist destination. The restaurant became so famous, guests would often wait hours to be seated. To keep guests entertained while they waited, the Knott family installed several attractions over the years, swiftly turning the property into an amusement park over time. After adding an interactive ghost town and several flat rides, park officials decided the time had come to add roller coasters. This investment strategy started in 1975 with the addition of Corkscrew, the world's first steel coaster to go upside down. Immediately afterwards, in 1976, the park would build a less intense but arguably more iconic ride. First opening as Cycle Chase, this coaster initially sat guests on motorcycle-themed ride vehicles. Due to safety concerns with the restraints, the ride was later rethemed as the more widely remembered Wacky Soapbox Racers. This ride would take the park by storm, and to this day, guests still remember its unique design and quirky ride experience. It would end up operating for 20 years before its closure in 1996. Park fans were devastated by its removal, but little did they know they would be even more devastated by its replacement. Knott's officials knew that after removing a fan-favorite attraction, they would have to come up with something bigger and better to replace it. They still wanted to keep the spirit of the Soapbox Racers though, so the race was on to find a coaster that was more thrilling. Their plans led them to Japanese manufacturer Togo. Founded in 1935, Togo installed its first roller coaster at Tokyo's Hanayashiki Park in 1953. Since then, the company quickly became one of Japan's top coaster manufacturers, with installations popping up all across the country. In 1984, the company entered the American market. Togo would manufacture King Cobra at Ohio's Kings Island. This was the first ground-up stand-up coaster ever installed. In 1986, Togo would build Ultra Twister for New Jersey's Six Flags Great Adventure. The coaster was critically acclaimed by enthusiasts and parkgoers in general.
Outrageous! I recommend it to everyone here. Oh my, I'm shaking.
Oh my God. It's great. This ride is great.
Wonderful. It did exactly the same thing it did the first time.
With the success of Ultra Twister, it seemed like Togo was here to stay, and the amusement industry had high hopes for the company. By the mid-90s, Togo was experiencing a boom in business outside of their home country. They installed the now infamous Viper at New Jersey's Six Flags Great Adventure, and in 1997, they would go on to install the high-profile Manhattan Express at the New York Hotel in Las Vegas. The question was, what kind of coaster would Knott's get? The unlikely answer would be the Looping Mouse, a coaster model that was both unique and never before seen in the United States. Also known as the Crazy Mouse, this model was essentially a wild mouse with inversions. A Togo promotional VHS described it as followed.
The Crazy Mouse transforms a relatively small site into an unforgettable entertainment experience. Individual 4-passenger cars challenge a course varied with elements such as a loop and a corkscrew. An idea may be the product of an individual, but at Togo, we believe the development of that idea entails the combined effort of a group of talented individuals. Talented individuals that have produced safe and reliable amusement rides for over 56 years.
Park officials would work with Togo to develop a new variation on their existing Crazy Mouse model. Unlike other Crazy Mouse coasters, it would have less of an emphasis on switchback turns and feature a more sprawling layout across the park's boardwalk section. Indeed, the main focus of this ride would be the racing feature, and it would be a pretty ambitious coaster for the time. In October 1996, Knott's Berry Farm officially announced this new ride to the public. It would be named Windjammer Surf Racers and be themed to surfing. Months of construction later, Windjammer would finally open to the public on March 26, 1997. The ride experience went as followed. Passengers would start off by boarding either the red track or the yellow track. The surfboard-themed trains would each sit 8 people. After an initial lift hill, guests would approach the first drop. The trains would then descend immediately into the signature vertical loops. The rest of the course consisted of several dips and bank turns, with the whole ride lasting around 1.5 minutes. While it was a short ride, its colorful presence and racing features seemed like an excellent addition for the park. Plus, with the ability to run 10 trains on each track simultaneously, the ride seemed to promise short wait times and optimal guest satisfaction. Beyond its visual appeal though, Windjammer's run at Knott's was nothing short of a complete disaster. Right off the bat, this coaster was plagued with problems that hampered its appeal to the public. Despite the emphasis on its racing feature, the yellow track was said to have rarely operated throughout the ride's run. Photos and video of the yellow track in operation are extremely rare to this day. The fact that the ride didn't race as often as advertised meant that guests were deprived of the full and complete ride experience. The lack of racing was already a major problem, but the ride's maintenance was an even bigger issue. This ride turned out to be completely unreliable, and it would consistently break down throughout its run at the park. Quite ironically, Windjammer had issues operating in windy conditions. While high winds can be an issue with any coaster, officials claimed the ride would be unable to operate in winds as low as 3 miles per hour. Even when the coaster did operate, the ride experience was said to be extremely rough. Needless to say, it was headbanging galore. The park attributed this issue to the tracks being misaligned and poorly designed. All of these problems put together made Windjammer a complete and total flop, and it would close down less than 3 years after its opening. After the ride's closure in March of 2000, a lawsuit against Togo was filed by Knott's. The lawsuit alleged that park officials spent over $2 million on numerous repairs and inspections. The park's lawyer Boyd Jensen called the ride's failure an embarrassment, saying, quote, "The manufacturer made promises that the ride simply hasn't lived up to." Overall, Knott's would sue for over $16 million in damages from the disastrous ride. Togo, on the other hand, argued that Knott's cut corners when it came to maintaining the ride. Togo's attorney Jim Yukovich said, "It was really a business decision where they turned around and made a money grab to cover the cost of new equipment." Meanwhile, the coaster would sit standing but not operating on the property until its demolition in July of 2001. At this point, management was eager to get such a tragic investment off their property. While the lawsuit was eventually rejected by a jury, the damage it did to Togo's reputation was unmistakable. The same year Windjammer was demolished, the company would close its American offices and would file for bankruptcy the same year. Nowadays, the company does still manufacture parts for their existing attractions, and even has a few roller coaster concepts in the pipeline, though whether or not we'll see this company make a comeback into the coaster market is yet to be seen. Back at Knott's, the park was quick to put the trauma of Windjammer behind them, so in 2002, they would announce a new roller coaster that was far, far superior to its predecessor. This new coaster, named Accelerator, would open on June 22, 2002. Built on the former site of Windjammer, this prototype hydraulic-launched roller coaster would be made by Swiss manufacturer Intamin. Themed to a 50s hot rod, this coaster launches guests from 0 to 82 miles per hour in 2.2 seconds. Its acceleration was revolutionary for the time, and it's still considered to be one of the park's best attractions. The park would even take on the surfing theme again in 2018 with the installation of Hang Time. This coaster was everything that Windjammer should have been: thrilling, exciting, and reliable. So as we enjoy the thrills of Accelerator and Hang Time, Windjammer will be forever remembered as one of the biggest failures in roller coaster history. Before I wrap things up, I just want to give a special shout out to my newest Patreon supporter. Verbal shoutouts start at the gold tier, and if you don't hear your name, you will see it at the end of the video. Here is a special shout out to Dare Wu. Thank you all so much, and if you want to support me on Patreon, you could do so at the link in the description. Thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or you can check out my website at themeparkcrazy.com. This is Theme Park Crazy, and I'll see you all next time.